Hello, my great viewers. Welcome back to this video today. If this is your first time to tune in to my channel, my name is Anthony. I come here on every Sunday to give you the pre-market analysis before the start of a week. And also, I do also come on Wednesday to give you an update on what I've seen and what I expect or anticipate for the remaining part of the week. So, if this is what you would like to learn here, so kindly I have a request for you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you'll be the first person to be notified immediately I upload a new video. So, without wasting time, let's dive in and see what the market has to offer for this coming week. So in front of you is a Euro USD chart. So for those who have been watching my videos, we did this analysis. This is what we have been doing. But for my first viewers or for my those people who are viewing me for the first time, let me give you a bonus of how we arrived to this area here. Okay, so starting from, I'm going to start this one from monthly time frame. All right, because remember we are doing top-down analysis, so it is always good to start your analysis from the higher time frame as you go down to the lower time frame, because that is why it is called the top-down analysis. So on the monthly time frame, for me, I don't do my analysis from around this area because this is not what I'm going to trade. So I only focus on the recent dealing range that the market formed. And you can see very clearly, this is the last break of structure around this area, making this high to be my protected high. So this is my protected high and this is my targeted low. All right. So immediately I mark this break of structure, I will identify my swing high and my swing low. And you know the drill, guys. So the next step will be measuring with my Fibonacci to where is the discount and where is the premium. You can see the 50%, it's my equilibrium. So above the 50%, we call it premium. Below the 50%, it's what we call the discount. So what do we expect? We expect to sell if the market is bearish, so we don't have any business of selling when the market is at the discount. Once the market comes to the premium, this is where now we start looking for our selling opportunities, right? Because you want to sell when the price is high, you want to buy when the price is low. That's the concept. You see very clearly that below here on the 50, below the discount, you don't see me marking any point of interest around this area. Why? Because I believe the market around this area, any point of interest that is within the discount, most probably the market is going to induce you, right? So the market is going to induce you because even if it gives you a confirmation, that is definitely going to be an inducement. And then for a market to come to the premium, and that is where it is going to sell from. All right. Okay. Uh-huh. So that one being said, now we have done what we wanted to do with our Fibonacci, so I can remove it. And you can see very clearly here on the monthly time frame, we have a very nice order block or a supply zone, whichever you call it. But for me, this is just an order block. The last buy candle before the bearish movement, which led to this break of structure with a very nice fair value gap attached below it. So making this one to be a very good order block for me. And that is where I marked my order block. So you can see the market came there and it's having a very good rejection from that zone. But now, are we going to start taking trades blindly from this zone? No, that is why we need to go to lower time frame for us to wait for our confirmation. Then this is where now brings us to the next idea or the next concept where we do the time frame alignment. Since we are on the monthly time frame, so for our confirmation, or which time frame are we supposed to wait for our confirmation? So we normally jump one time frame. So we are on the monthly, so I jump one time frame. And if you don't know how to do the time frame alignment, so these are my customized time frame that I use. We have the monthly, weekly, daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, 15, and 5 minutes time frame. So I don't normally pay attention so much on 30 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, and stuff like that. So these are only time frame that I do pay attention to. So Since we have said we are on the monthly, we will jump one time frame and go to daily, and that is where we'll wait for our confirmation. So since the down around this area, I think this was around yeah, since on last year December somewhere there, the Euro USD has been bullish. You can see this is where it made a change of character, and since then the Euro USD has been bullish. So whatever was happening here on the daily time frame, this was to fulfill the objective of the higher time frame, and for that matter here we are talking about the monthly and weekly time frame. And what was the objective, guys? Is for a market to come and mitigate this order block that is resting around this area. And what are we seeing? Immediately the Euro USD mitigated this order block. That is when we saw it giving us a change of character. And we have a very nice change of character around this area. So that is our confirmation that we needed to see after market reacted from this monthly order block. So what are we going to do? Are we going now after the market gives us change of character? Are we supposed to start looking for to sell immediately? No, right? We repeat the same procedure. Pick your Fibonacci, place from swing high to the swing low. All right. You don't have any business of selling while the market is still at the premium. So you have to mark a point of interest that is resting at the sorry, we don't have any business of selling when the price is at discount. Sorry. Then what are you supposed to do? Wait for a market to come to the premium. If you have any point of interest around this area, that is the order block or fair value gap, whichever the point of interest that you use, it should be lying on the premium part of the market. You can see we are not yet at the premium yet, or at the equilibrium. But I believe when the week opens, we are expecting to see more buys on Euro USD coming to this area here. Now, I want to show you how did I arrive to this order block around this area. So we did this on our previous analysis, that is on Wednesday. Let me do it again. So if you want to mark your order block without stress, this is what you do. Go to one time frame higher because we are on the daily. Now we go to the weekly. So the reason we are going to the weekly is because from the weekly time frame you'll find out we'll have fewer candles. Yes, it is very easy to mark your order block in this time frame more than in the lower time frame. So we have this very good, nice order block that is resting here. If you look closely, this is the last bullish candle that led to this break of structure. So making it to be a very powerful order block for us because this sell momentum was originating from this order block around this area. And below our order block, we have a very nice fair value gap. So if you don't know what is a fair value gap, if you have three candles, you have three, it doesn't matter the color of candles. If you have three candles closing above each other, something of this sort, and you find that the low of the first candle, the wick, and the high of the wick of the third candle, there is a gap in between. That is what you call a fair value gap. For instance, you can have like this. You have one, two, three. I've told you the color of the candle does not matter. If you look closely below this, the wick of this candle, and above the wick of this candle, you can see there is gap in between. So ideally, the market should not leave this gap. You should see this wick intersecting or closing without a gap. But if you see a gap between those three candles, that means that is what you call a fair value gap. All right. Okay. So, and we know very well fair value gaps acts as a magnet. That is what is going to attract the market to come because that is an imbalance. A market does not leave imbalances without mitigating or without filling them. And that is why you can see the market is coming up here to fill this gap, tap to this order block, and then we continue selling. All right, so after doing that, we go back to our daily. So the reason we are going back to our daily here is to refine our zone because if you mark it from the higher time frame, it will be a bigger zone. But if you go to the lower time frame, you are still allowed to refine. Okay, so when I refine my zone, I'm going to arrive to this order block. All right, so this order block of ours is a daily order block, yes, but it's inside the weekly order block. Remember the higher time frame are the boss. So we expect this order block to hold. All right. Because up here, we don't have any other fair value gap. This was the first fair value gap that was created, but market came back mitigated it and pushed down. So there was no any other gap. So this is the only point of interest that we see here. So what am I expecting? I'm expecting to see the market coming here, making a trend while coming to this zone. Once it's up to this zone, because it's a daily zone, I will go to 1 hour time frame, and that is where I will wait for my confirmation to take my sales to the downside. So this is what I'm anticipating on the Euro USD. Even going to 4 hour time frame, remember we are doing our top down analysis from our last week. This was our last break of structure from the weekly, but before from the 4 hour, let me go back to the daily. I want to show you how I do it. So once the market gives me a change of character or a break of structure, then I need to pay attention to the internal structure or the fractal market structure. And if you are here on Wednesday, we saw this was our last fractal break to the upside. Then we had a fractal change of character here. We had a break of structure, and this was our last break of structure to the downside. So for us to confirm that this was our swing low, we needed to see market giving us a change of character here to the upside. All right. And last week market gave us this change of character. I think this was on Wednesday. Yeah, on Wednesday, the market gave us this change of character to the upside. What does this change of character mean? It doesn't mean the bias has shifted. No. This is to fulfill the objective of the daily swing, which is the objective here for a market to come to mitigate a point of interest that is at premium, and then we continue selling. All right. So let's go back to the 4 hour now. So here on the 4 hour, you can see very clearly, because I know and I normally tell you, my people, that any structure that seems to be fractal on higher time frame, when you go to one time frame lower, it becomes a swing. You see, this was our fractal on the daily, but here on the 4 hour, it becomes a swing. We have this break of structure. This is our swing high, swing low. So ideally, we were expecting this zone to hold and push the market to the downside. But what happened? Market pushed down, but never broke to the downside, right? So it came back and gave us this change of character, right? This is to show us that the market has started now the pullback to come to this area here. So now, what is my analysis here on the 4 hour time frame? You can see the 4 hour. Don't forget the higher time frame is bearish, but now the 4 hour is currently bullish. This is our change of character around this area. And I remember telling you guys here on my Wednesday video, I told you guys, since we are near to our point of interest here, I didn't expect the Euro USD to give us a deeper retracement to come to this order block, because I know if you have to mark a order block, this is your order block around this area. So we have this order block, and you also have this flip zone around this area. We have this flip zone around this area. Then I remember mentioning that I don't expect the Euro USD to give us that deeper retracement before coming to this zone, because we are near to our zone. All right. So now what did we see? We saw the Euro USD trying to give us a small pullback, and now we are having a new break of structure. So we have a break of structure around this area. So what do we do now? Let's go to 1 hour. Yeah, here from the 1 hour, that is where you will see the structure very nice. Is it a good structure, guys? Yes, it is. You can see it swept liquidity, swept this internal liquidity, and then went ahead to give us a break of structure, right? So how do I mark my point of interest? I have this order block currently, and then we also have this extreme order block around this area. Now I have a question to ask you guys. So between this order block and this order block, which one do you think has high probability of holding this market? If you have said this order block, then you are correct. Why am I not having a lot of confidence with this order block? If you look closely, this order block one, we don't have a fair value gap that is attached to it, right? You see down here, every fair value gap was mitigated. There was no any fair value gap around this area. But that one does not mean that market cannot come to here. No. But what I'm trying to say is that this order block has a low probability of holding the market. Okay? Because one, if you see this order block tried to break this high for the first time and it failed. So market had to come back, gather more fuel, or in other words, more orders, and then this is the order block that add guts or strength to push this market and break this high, and this is what we call a flip zone, right? So we have this one as our flip zone here. So what am I anticipating? I'm anticipating to see the market coming here, give us that confirmation from the lower time frame, and then we buy, targeting this the high that will be formed around this area. Assuming now when the market opened, will give us that pullback. All right. So that one does not mean I'm not going to use this one, so I'll leave this one pending. If I pick my fib from now to this high, from this high to this low, are we is our order block at the discount? Very good. So order block is at the discount. Remember, we don't know whether this is our swing high. Okay? We are not sure whether that one is our swing high. Let's go to 1 hour and see whether we have a fractal change of character. Even from the day 1 hour time frame, this was the last internal break of structure, right? So this is the internal structure that is control. So here on the 1 hour, we can still refine our order block to this order block. Okay. Now, someone might be asking, when you mark this order block, where is your inducement now? Okay. Someone might be asking because you can't see any inducement that was formed after this from this low. Market just went up straight. This is why, guys, you need to wait for a confirmation, my people. This is the importance of confirmation because for me, I believe if the market wants to use this one as a liquidity, this low as liquidity, this is what it will do. Once it comes to this area, it will have the small reaction for the early buyers. Then it will have that trend to the downside, come sweep this liquidity with a wick, and then push higher to give you that confirmation that you need. So, guys, if you do your top-down analysis well, if you mark your structure well, you don't have to stress about the inducement, the liquidity, and stuff like that. Because if you wait for confirmation, market will show you what it wants to do. It will, if you want to use this one as liquidity, it will sweep it first before giving you that confirmation that you want to see. Or in the second scenario, this is what market can do. You can have something like this, market coming down, then towards this zone, it gives you something like this, gives you a change of character here, right? So I know, for the early buyers, for those people who wants to jump in early, after they see this change of character, what will they do? They are going to start looking for their entries around this area because there will be a demand zone here. So that is to mean there is a lot of stop losses below this area. So for this scenario here, the market has created liquidity. You see, the market would have created the liquidity low around this area. So what do we expect? We expect the market to come down now, sweep that liquidity, come to this zone, and then we'll give you that change of character and we continue buying. So those are the scenarios that I am anticipating for the Euro USD to do, because for me, I don't expect Euro USD to come to this area. In case the Euro USD violate this zone and gives you this change of character, that one does not mean that the pullback has begun, because we are not yet to the 50%. So the next zone that I will be waiting for the Euro USD will be this area here. But now, since we are near this zone, let's watch this zone here. So that is my analysis on Euro USD. If you look at DXY, what the DXY has to say, let's check. For the DXY, I'm not going to start from but let me just give you a quick review from the weekly time frame. So from the weekly, so this is the change of character that we have been talking about. We have this change of character. Okay, let me show you the how the weekly chart looks like. You can see this is the swing. We have this break of structure to the upside, right? So market reacted from an indecision candle around this area. So this is the candle. That is our order block. So that is where this market reacted from. You can see it was a very strong zone. Market tried to react here first, second, and third time, which is the one after this one, after sweeping the liquidity below this low, pushed higher to give this change of character to the upside. So what do we do, guys? Immediately you see that change of character, identify your order block. This is our order block from the weekly. So we go to the daily. The business in our daily time frame is to refine. When we refine, we arrive to this order block. So we can see the DXY is not yet towards this zone. So we anticipate more sales, at least For it to, even it didn't tap to this fair value gap unlike the Euro USD. You see, it has not yet come to this fair value gap. That is why I'm still anticipating more sales uh, and more buys on Euro USD. All right? Okay. So that one being said, even I've said once market takes out the external structure, you start paying attention to the internal. You see, internal, this was we had this break, and we had this is our last break of structure to the upside. So ideally, you are expecting the market to respect this law and continue buying. But once we see the 4 hour, we see this change of character. Now this one confirms to us that this is our swing high, and the market has now started the daily pullback. The intention of this pullback is for a market to come to this area and then you continue buying. Okay. All right. Now let's go back to the 4 hour. The same thing. So after the market gave us this change of character, I was anticipating for, I was anticipating DXY to have a little pullback, at least to come and fill this gap before continuing to sell to the downside. But let's check what the lower time frame has to say. Let's go to 1 hour. Okay, so this is what we are having on 1 hour. From the 1 hour time frame, so market, this was our last fractal break. Then we had a fractal change of character around this area. And you can see currently the DXY is reacting from this order block. Unlike the Euro USD, which has already broken this low, but the DXY is currently reacting from this order block. So what do I need first? If the market needs to continue selling, first of all, it has to break this low here. So I need to see more sales. Even you can see from 1 hour, this is not a break of structure here, right? You don't have a break. This is just a week. So what do I need to see? Because now having this one, this is to me now this structure here, it is in control. We have this internal break, internal change of character. You can see the market is reacting from this order block. So if the market wants to violate this zone, it needs to give me a break of structure here. I need to give me a candle closing below this low, because until we have that candle closing below this low, then this order block here has a low probability of holding because the external is bullish, right? External is bullish because of this break and this change of character. So if it wants to continue selling, should give us a close, and then we'll wait for this zone and continue selling, right? So be watching that zone. If now this market wants to use this order block here, then also for me to start looking for any buys, it should break this high. Okay, it should break this high, and then we continue buying. So you can watch that one from the 15 minutes time frame. Even from the 15 minutes time frame, because we see this is the last break of structure, we have this order block around this area. You can see the market is respecting this one. So if it wants to buy, then I will be patient enough for it to come here, take out this high, and then that is when I will know that the pullback of the 4 hour structure has started, right? So we need to see 15 minutes giving us that change of character, and then we start looking for more buys as we target market to fill this gap. See, there is a very massive gap here. This was our last Sunday, not last Sunday, but on Wednesday. This is where we market opened up with a very big gap around this area, and we know very well this is an imbalance. The market does not like leaving this imbalance unmitigated. So if it wants to go back, it should come back, fill these gaps before continuing to sell to the downside. If I need to mark my point of interest, this is how I'll do it. We have this order block around this area. Okay, so this is the last buy candle that led to the break of structure to the downside. Go to 4 hour. You can refine your order block. You can arrive to this zone here or this order block around this area here. Okay, and then you will use this law as an inducement. But be aware that market might fail to come to this area. If the market comes, fills this gap, then sometimes it might not give you that deeper retracement to this one. This is why we have to pay attention to the internal structure, because anything above the 50% market can react to. You see, we have this gap around this area and we have fair value gap here. So market can come here, fill this gap, and then react from this fair value gap and continue selling. So that is where we also have to watch the lower time frames. So that is my thorough analysis on DXY, guys. So make sure to pay attention to that. I don't know what is your analysis. Maybe you can tell me in the comment section. So going to the GBP USD. So the GBP USD, oh, we also did this analysis on Wednesday. Okay, let me clean my chart. So starting from the weekly, because remember the analysis that you have on GBP USD should be the same analysis that you have on Euro USD because they almost move the same. If by any means you find that you have done your analysis on GBP USD, you found that it is bearish, but the Euro USD looks bullish. So that means one of those analyses is going to fail because you need to see those analyses going hand in hand. If the Euro USD is bullish, GBP USD should be bullish. Even looking at the monthly or weekly, we have this break of structure here. Market came to this monthly time frame order block. I'm not going there. Let's go down to the lower time frame. Uh, we had this break of structure here to the downside. I know someone might be asking, why is it that you didn't mark this one as a change of character after this break of structure? Let me answer your question on weekly. So on the weekly time frame, this was my last break of structure to the upside, right? This is the last break. Here we don't have any break. Now paying attention to the fractal market structure, this was the fractal break. Last fractal break, we had a fractal change of character here and a fractal break of structure here. If you look closely, this candle here never closed above here. So that means this is the fractal structure that is still in control, my people. So that is why I'm not marking this one as my change of character. So I have this one as a break of structure. All right. So going to the daily time frame. So I identify this one as liquidity. So market swept the liquidity above there and also above here, mitigated this order block, and we are currently selling, right? So from here from the daily, I remember marking this order fair value gap here. And I said this is where I'll be waiting for the Euro USD, GBP USD, in case it gives us that change of character around this area. So going to the 4 hour, we still see that the GBP USD is trying to respect this zone. But I remember I mentioning here on Wednesday that I don't expect this eye to hold. Judging from what is currently happening on DXY and the Euro USD, I was anticipating this eye to be taken out. I'm still anticipating for eyes to be taken out, at least for a market to come to this fair value gap, and then we continue selling because the bias is bearish. All right. Okay. So let's see from the 1 hour time frame. So you see from 1 hour, 1 hour turned bullish around this area. This was the last fractal break. Then we had a fractal change of character. We have a break of structure here, and we don't have any other break of structure currently, unlike Euro USD, which already gave us the break of structure. So what is happening? You can see that market is trying to respect this zone, respect this structure, because this is the last fractal break, and this is the last fractal change of character here. So currently market is reacting from this order block. Market is reacting from this order block. So what I need to see, let's go to 15. So if really market wants to continue buying, then we can refine it to this order block. Then the market has to close above here with a candle in 4 hour time frame. Because remember, from the DXY we have seen, the DXY is also respecting this zone. And I've told you, if you need to look for more buys, we need to see market breaking this eye. Because remember, market can react from this order block and then continue selling. So currently, this is the structure that I'm watching here. You see this, you have this break of structure here. Still, if the market wants to sell, then it has to break this low. So for me, this is what I will wait. If I want to take any sales, so I need to see GBP USD breaking this low, and that is when I will wait for a pullback, get in, and continue selling. Because remember, market might be using this supply zone just to have a little pullback for a market to come to this demand zone around this area, and then we continue buying. Because remember, our anticipation is for market to come here. So be aware of this. If you want to sell, wait for this low to be taken out, right? Because market might be, for me, if the market comes to this area demand zone and gives me a confirmation, I will still take a buy to the upside, because for me, I follow the structure, right? And currently the internal structure is bullish, right? You see, this is the last break of structure. If the market wants to continue buying and comes to here and gives me a good confirmation, I will still buy. If it wants to sell, it has to break this low. After it breaks this low, I wait for a pullback, get in, and continue selling. So maybe you can tell me on the comment section what is your analysis on that. So let's go move on to the next pair. So this matter is the GBP USD. I'm going to start my analysis quickly from there time frame. Okay, so let me clean my charts. So what do you see here on the weekly time frame, people? Let me go back to monthly a little bit. So from the monthly, we have this break of structure here. That is our last break of structure. Okay. In terms of fractal, this is the last fractal break of structure to the upside. We have a small fractal break here. So let's go to the daily weekly. So from the weekly, we still have the same swing, right? We have this as our last break of structure. In terms of fractal, you can see the fractal is very bullish, and the last fractal break from the weekly, you can see it around this area. We have this fractal break. We don't have any other fractal break around this area. So this is what it's in control from the weekly time frame. All right. Okay, and you can see, judging from how the market is moving and how the market closed, market is coming for this high, right? We have this buy side liquidity, and the market is very much bullish. So we can say here from the weekly time frame what the market do. So this bearish momentum, market came down to react from this area here, and then we are buying from this area. So let's go to the daily and see what we had there. If you look closely from the daily, around this zone we have this order block, and that is where the market reacted from, and we are currently buying from that zone. Okay, so looking at the fractal structure, we have this fractal break. After that fractal break, we still have this fractal break, and we also have this fractal break, and this was the last fractal break of structure, because we don't see any other break. Later on, market gave us this change of character. So ideally, we were expecting the GBP or GBP JPY to respect this zone and continue selling, right? Because that is our order block after market gave us this change of character. But it seems like whatever was happening here was the market to come to this order block, and then we continue buying. But the fractal had given us this change of character. Judging from how the momentum is, because the market closed above this zone now, that means it violated our order block. This is our order block. You can see it closed above the order block. So for me, now this is when I say that this order block has been violated. Because if it was strong enough, market could not have closed above it. We could have seen just a sweep, and then market reject from that area. So for me, that one turns my bias from bearish to bullish. So what am I anticipating? I'm anticipating this eye to be taken out. So looking at the fractal structure, let me go to low and time frame, 1 hour or 4 hour for me to read the fractal. We have this. This was the last fractal break to the downside. After that, market gave us a change of character. Then we have this change of character around this break of structure. From here, we have a new break of structure to the upside now. So currently, this is the structure that is in control. So let me label it internal break of structure. So what are we anticipating here? Since now the market is almost towards this eye, remember this eye? If this eye gets taken out now, we'll have a new swing structure, which is from this eye to this low. But currently, this is our dealing range. We have this eye, and then we have this low. If we need to mark our point of interest, let's go to one time frame higher, and this is becomes our order block. So for me, I'll make sure to include this candle here because of this fair value gap. and then this becomes my order block. So my business on 4 hour, it will be to refine my order block. And if you refine it, you can arrive to this order block around this area because it is inside the daily order block. But is the market coming back to this zone? We don't know. So let's look at the fractal structure. We have this fractal break, and currently we have this fractal break around this area. So if really market wants to have that pullback, then we know very well market has to take out this low because this is the fractal that is in control currently. If the market wants to come down to this area, we should see something of this sort, fractal break, and then a continuation to the downside. So until then, the 4 hour is still bullish. Let's go to 1 hour. So from 1 hour, you can see very clearly that we have this fractal break around this area. All right. So we have that fractal break, and we also have this fractal break around this area. Okay, and we still have this fractal break around this area. Now let's go back to down to 15. So in the 15 minutes time frame, this is the last fractal break of structure to the upside. All right, is it a good structure? Okay, you can see. Yeah, for me, I can validate this pullback. I know for those who follow me, we need to see at least three candles closing below each other, making for you to validate that this is a valid pullback. But if you look at this one bearish candle like this one bearish candle is uh it's covering three candles. You can see one, two, three. All these three bullish candle, they are covered by this one candle. So for me, for this matter, I can validate this one to be a valid pullback because we have a very massive sell candle here and another sell candle. So for me, this is a valid pullback, and we have a break of structure to the upside. This is it. This low strong one. You can see this sweep of liquidity here. We have a sweep of liquidity before push to break the structure, making it to be a valid pullback, a valid break of structure. So I have this low and I have this high currently. Remember, we are towards this area, so market might fail to come to this order block around that area that we have marked for 4 hour. So we need to pay attention to this one. This is what we are. This is where we are. So for me, because I don't see anything good here, I will go to 1 hour, mark my order block. When you mark your order block, this becomes your order block. You can see the market has already tapped here. Let's go to 15. The business here is to refine our order block. When you refine, we arrive to this last sell candle before the buy. Okay, let's go back to 15 and 5 minutes and see whether we can refine. Here in the 5 minutes, I can still refine to this last candle here. Okay, someone might be asking, is this a valid order block? If you look closely, for me, it's not a valid order block. It's an indecision candle. Okay, the right way to mark your order block should be this last sell candle before the buy. But the reason I'm marking this one is because you can see we have a small fair value gap around this area. So we have this gap that was not filled. Okay, so going back to 15, this becomes my resistance zone, this zone here. This week is a rejection zone. So I would rather mark that zone and then use this one as liquidity. So that is my analysis on GBP JPY. So I want to see what the market will do once it comes to this area. If by any means we violate this low, because this is a strong low from 15 minutes time frame, then that means the pullback of the 4 hour chart or the 4 hour swing has begun, and then we'll turn our buyers from bullish to bearish. So moving on to the next pair, that is, I also have the USD JPY, and it seems like today I have a lot of analysis for you guys. Okay, from the 4 hour, I'm doing this quickly. So from the 4 hour, we had this break of structure to the upside. So generally, the bias of this pair is bullish. The pair is very much bullish. So this is the last break of structure here. So last week, market came to react from this order block here around this area, the extreme one, and we saw a very good change of character from the 1 hour and below, 15 minutes time frame, stuff like that. So here this is the last break, change of character, and since then we have been buying. So this was my last break of structure from the 1 hour time frame. If you go to 15, this is my last break of structure. So what is my anticipation? And I believe I shared this setup on my Telegram community people. I I was when the market after they will get this break of structure, that is when I shared the analysis. So I expected this pair to come to this zone and then we continue buying. So it's tried to come, but swept this liquidity, and you can see it is currently buying. If by any means it has to come back, this is where I'll wait for it to look for my buying opportunity towards the upside. You can see that the yen pairs are still bullish. Okay, so what will be my target? My target will be these eyes. If it comes here, gives me a reason to buy, then I will target these eyes here, and this one should also be your autumn target. Now, allow me to go to the gold, and that is where I will close my analysis today. So from the gold, let's see what the gold has to offer. Gold from the weekly time frame is very bullish because of this is our last break of structure to the upside. So whatever we saw here, this was just to fulfill the intention of the daily or the objective of the weekly swing, which was to come to mitigate this order block and then you continue buying. So the overall bias of the gold is bullish because this is a structure that is in control. We have this low, we have this high. So immediately the market reacted from this zone. We saw a very nice rejection from there. So now, where are we supposed to wait for our confirmation? Because we are in the weekly, we go to 4 hour. So from the 4 hour, we had this as our last break. So market gave us a change of character. Okay. And I remember explaining why the gold did not have that deeper retracement towards this zone. Why? Because if you pay attention to gold, you'll find that gold like to use fair value gap a lot. And if you look closely down here, we don't have any fair value gap that was left. So the only fair value gap that was visible, it is this gap around this area. So that is why you saw gold came here, reacted from this area, and then ditched up to have a break of structure to the upside. Okay. So if you go to 1 hour, you can refine this zone to this order block here. And that is where gold reacted. And we saw this bullish movement to have a break of structure. Since we have a new break of structure now here, so what are we doing again? We are going to mark this order block. The best way to mark the order block, it is this order block here. Okay, that is your 4 hour order block. Gold came, never tapped to this order block. Okay, but for me, I'm still anticipating more bearish movement, because I can see very clearly that the gold is reacting from this supply zone, and that one might push this market to come to this order block. So this is my order block from the 4 hour time frame. Let's go to 50, that not sorry but 1 hour. From 1 hour we can refine, and this becomes our order block. This is the order block that led to the break of structure. So for me and for my anticipation that the gold, because it never created any liquidity here, now I'm anticipating that gold should use this law. This law now becomes my liquidity. So what am I anticipating? I'm anticipating gold to come here. And then as usual, guys, I will wait for confirmation before taking any buy opportunity. So that is my analysis on gold, and I will wish to stop at that point. So today, for those who are on my Telegram channel, today in the evening, I will also have the live session. If you have any other pair that you would like me to analyze, make sure you are there, and that is when I will analyze my any pair that you love. Okay, so thank you guys for watching, and before I go, I still run the private mentorship. If you would like to learn all this one in details, one-on-one with me, you can find the link to my WhatsApp on the description of this video. Link me on WhatsApp and I will guide you on how to join the mentorship. So at this point, I would like to stop there. I will see you on Wednesday. Bye bye.